I'm sorry that we didn't have a chance to look at these video examples on Wednesday in class because of the audio problems, but I wanted to make sure that people did have an opportunity to take a look at them. So I just wanted to make a couple of points, reinforce a couple of points. Again, when we're talking about intentional communication, we're really keying into a child moving from that reflexive, responsive kind of communication and prolocutionary stage to the illocutionary stage. So you can sort of assign the idea of being intentional in your communication with that middle item, illocutionary. And when we move to a locutionary stage, we're really talking about children who actually are producing words. And so the illocutionary stage is where we're at right now. And we reviewed this in class, but just to make sure you're comfortable with it, when we're thinking about communicative intent, these are some characteristics that we're going to look for when we are determining whether a child is truly being intentional. You'll see some of the joint attention that I mentioned in class in terms of that shared reference between eye gaze to an object or an event, back to an adult, back to the object, so children are sharing something. But that isn't always the case. We're looking at a child who is really trying to direct an adult's behavior, and that behavior may just be their attention to an item. It may be other kinds of things, but typically when we're thinking about this early intent, it's really about sharing communication, really trying to direct the adult's attention. As I mentioned, we see that those gestures or vocalizations are becoming more consistent in terms of how they're produced. We often see the child wait for a response after they initiate communication, and then a lot of times if an adult isn't responsive, we see a persistence, meaning that they'll continue to gesture. Sometimes those vocalizations get louder, for example. And so these are the decisions, the questions that I want you to think about in terms of making a decision about intentionality when you look at these next few video clips. You'll see that there are some examples sometimes of pointing within them, but they aren't always intentional, and that's really the question at hand for you to make that determination. And the questions you can ask yourself is, again, is a child trying to direct the adult's behavior in an observable way? Do they make eye contact with the adult and the object and situation? So remember, if a child is just pointing and is referring back to an adult in terms of checking in to see if the adult is with them in this communicative effort, then it's not true intentional communication. And then we expect there's either some kind of vocalization or gesture, but oftentimes in early intentional communication, we see both. We see both the child pointing or gesturing in some way and vocalizing at the same time. So here are a couple of the video clips that you can take a look at that give a perspective on intentional communication, just some nice clips that show some intentional communication happening. So take a look and see if you can identify those instances of intentional communication. If you have any questions, let me know. And then at the end, you may have seen this video clip before. It's just two twins that are vocalizing and just sharing a fun experience together. So I thought that would just be fun for you all to take a look at. Okay, great. Thanks.